There was a terrible mining accident, and as the rescue workers were preparing to go down into that mine, the television reporters were there as well. And one of the reporters asked one of the rescue workers, "Are you really going down there?" "Why, it's dangerous. There could be poisonous gas. There could be another rock slide. Are you really going down there?" And the rescue worker responded, "There are still 3 men trapped in that mine. Yes, I'm going down." In my imagination, I can picture the Word of God, the eternal Son of God, before he was conceived in the womb of the Virgin Mary by the power of the Holy Spirit and born for us at Bethlehem. I can picture the eternal Word of God, the eternal Son of God, talking with one of the angels. And the angels asking, "Are you really going to go down to earth? It's full of darkness, the darkness of sin and death. There are people on earth that will not listen to you, and some of those people will kill you. Are you really going to go down there?" And the Son of God, the Word of God, responding, "Yes, I am going down to earth." And because the Word became flesh, conceived by the power of the Holy Spirit in the womb of the Virgin Mary, and born 9 months later for us in Bethlehem, he came down, and because the Son of God came down to this earth is affected for all times to come. Jesus brings us his light to a world that's filled with the darkness of sin and death. He was born in Bethlehem. He died on Calvary. He rose from the dead. He has conquered sin and death and shared with us that victory so that we could live forever with him in heaven. He has brought us his light. That's the reason that in this hemisphere where you and I live, we find these are the darkest days of the whole year. That's why we light the exteriors of our home at Christmas time, and why we have extra lights inside on trees and arrangements, because we are proclaiming our faith that even in this season of darkness, Christ is our light, and he has conquered the darkness of sin and death. There was a painter finishing a work that was a wintertime scene with mountains and evergreens and snow and a house that was dark. And as she was completing her work, she dipped her paintbrush into the yellow paint and painted a flame on top of the candle in the window of that house. And in doing so, it gave the effect of that whole winter scene being bathed in soft light. You and I carry the light of Christ to our world. We may think, what little light do I have? What difference will it make? Well, I remind you of that motto of the Christophers: better to light one candle in the darkness than to curse the darkness. That light is powerful. It's the light of Christ that we carry to people who are worried or discouraged or in trouble or anxious, hopeless, despairing. When we carry the light of Christ, we lighten their burdens. We warm them. We let them know that they belong. We carry the light of Christ that he brought into our world. He came down to give us light. He came down to give us hope. When we look at ourselves before our world, we can wonder, what power do I have? What influence? I'm only one little voice. And the voices are so many in our world. But Christ came to raise the lowly to high places. He came to give us hope. Our lives are precious in his sight. Every single human life that God has created, from the moment of conception to the moment of natural death, is sacred, is precious, is worthwhile before God. We all have purpose and meaning in life. And each one of us are a little twinkle of happiness in God's own eye. He gives us hope by his coming down to this earth. I was stationed at St. John's Cathedral in downtown Cleveland a number of years ago. And while I was there, a letter came one day. And it was from a prisoner at the Ohio State Reformatory in Mansfield, wondering, was there somebody from the cathedral that would be a pen pal to him? And so I did. I agreed. And for several years, we corresponded regularly, and a number of times I drove to Mansfield to visit with him personally. And his name was Frank. Well, he wrote me a letter. It was dated December the 31st, 1983, 28 years ago. I saved that letter. And this is why. This is what Frank wrote to me. Dear Father, it was extremely cold here for Christmas. The cells behind me have 2 broken windows, and when the cold air blows in, it's almost like being outside. We were allowed to cover the bars with newspaper, which makes the cell a little cozier and helps to keep the wind out, but not the cold. At Christmas Eve Mass, Father told the story of Jesus being born in a stable, just adequate enough to keep the wind out. With that message in mind, Christmas with my cellmate was a fine day. We had good conversation and tasty goodies left by my father in my Christmas food package. Nothing can keep the spirit of Christmas out of a person's heart but the person himself. And for me, I chose to accept the peace that God offered. Well, I'm going to close for now. I'm looking forward to when we're next able to visit again. Thank you for being a friend. Love, Frank. Even in prison, Frank knew that he was included in the message, in the meaning of Christmas. He saw where he was in terms of where Jesus and Mary and Joseph were on that first Christmas, where the stable was cold. But Frank had hope. He believed in the grace of God for him. Christ comes down here to earth to share his light with us, to share hope with us, and also to share his saving grace. He came to forgive our sins. That's why he was born, to die on Calvary and to rise from the dead. There's a story that a woman shares about herself. She was very depressed. She wandered into a cathedral. She had a lot on her mind. she felt estranged from God. God was close to her, but she just felt that God was very distant. As a matter of fact, she tried to keep God very distant. She'd done many, many things in her life that she wasn't proud of. She made lots of poor decisions. As a matter of fact, she was rather ashamed of a good deal of her life. So she wandered in that cathedral looking for something. And she first noticed the stained glass windows. And that sparked her with some pleasant memories of her growing up. Then she went over to the Christmas crib. And in the stable, in the manger filled with straw, was the Christ child. And the Christ child, as in our manger, was lying there with his hands extended. And as she looked at the infant Christ, she just could not believe that she was included in the embrace of his love. And so she went over to a pew and sat down and began to cry. A priest from the cathedral just happened to walk in and saw her. And he went over and said to her, "Do you mind if I sit down?" And before she had a chance to answer, he did. And she poured out her heart, and she wept. And when she had finished, he asked her, "Would you like forgiveness for your sins, because I think I have already heard your confession?" And she said yes. And so he gave her sacramental absolution. "And I absolve you from your sins. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen." The priest got up and left. She stayed there for quite a while. And she described the peace that had come over her. She said that her resentments, her fears, had gone away like the snow on a warm winter's afternoon in the sun. She was back home again. Her story maybe is like your story. Maybe you've been away from the church family for a while, from your church family. You've come back today, and I'm glad. Maybe you're searching for a church family to belong to. Your search is over. You've come to a good place to belong. God has invited every single one of us to be here today, to be part of his family. Welcome home. Christ came down to earth. He came down to give us his light. He's conquered the darkness of sin and death, and we share in his victory. He's come to give us hope, to raise the lowly to high places. He's come to give us his saving grace, to forgive our sins, to strengthen us, to encourage us. Christ wants to enter every single heart that will open its door for him. Jesus Christ, our light, our hope, our saving grace, has come down. And because he has come down, we can all belong to him. We can all belong to his family, the church. And because he has come down, right here, right now, we are all safe and secure. We are all home.